إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم أما بعد قال عز وجل بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من كان في آخر كلامه لا إله إلا الله دخل الجنة. Respected brothers and sisters, once in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a companion was on his dying bed, but he could not recite the kalima la ilaha illallah. This kalima, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, the hadith I've quoted, من كان آخر كلامه لا إله إلا الله دخل الجنة. That when a person is dying and the last word before you leave this world is La ilaha illallah, دخل الجنة, mean Allah will give him Jannah with such honor. But this man, he could not have said La ilaha illallah. And all of us know the hadith where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam called his mother. She was asked for what wrong this man has done. And remember, this man was a companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Not an ordinary man like me and you. A companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So imagine living in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, dying but could not recite the La ilaha illallah, the kalima. It's a great honor. If someone died and he is able to recite this kalima la ilaha illallah, it's a great honor by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah give us this ni'mah inshallah. Not many people. The fact is, in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, this was a normal thing among the companions. This was a normal thing. That before they die, Allah gave them tawfiq, and they were able to recite La ilaha illallah. But this man, he could not. And all of us know until his mother forgave him, then he recited La ilaha illallah and he died. Instantly he died. My point is, this was a normal thing in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Today, we can actually count with our fingers people who recite La ilaha illallah before they die. Why is it so? Why is it that people have been deprived with this great honor, dying without La ilaha illallah? Because the hadith is clear that if your last word is La ilaha illallah, Allah will give you Jannah inshallah. دخل الجنة. But not very few people are able to say it. Very few. Respected brothers and sisters, no matter if you are Hafiz al-Quran, and no matter if you memorize this kalima, we will not be able to recite this kalima because we know the kalima, or because we memorize this kalima. the only way we will be able to recite this kalima is if we live in accordance with the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and following the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this tells us how far away people are from Quran and Sunnah that we have been deprived of reciting this kalima before we die. The contrast. You know, one Sahabi, Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu, met a tabi'i after the demise of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And he told the tabi'i, he says, you people pray more than us. You fast more than us. Imagine a companion, eminent Sahabi, Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu. He says, I have seen you people fast and pray more than us. We were not indulge ourselves in so much of ibadah like you people, tabi'in. So the tabi'in told him, he said, well, Abu Dharr, then what are we lacking that we cannot be like you people, like Sahabas? SubhanAllah. Dialogue between a companion of Rasulullah and a tabi'i. A tabi'i is a person who lived to see a companion but did not see Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu says two things. Imagine, this Sahabi immediately was able to respond to the question of this tabi'i. Because living in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know, you can get a feel of when you're going right and when you're going wrong. He says, حُبُّ الدُّنْيَا وَكَرَاهِيَةُ الْمَوْتِ. حُبُّ الدُّنْيا. Even though you pray more than Sahabas, you fast more than Sahabas, you read more Quran more than Sahaba. But two things is in your heart that was not found in the qualities of companions. Hubb dunya, the love for this world. Imagine that was the tabi'i, not long after Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Attachment to this life, to this worldly life, that is depriving us from reciting the kalima before we die. وَكَرَاهِيَةُ الْمَوْتِ, we don't talk about death. Today you talk about death, even to your own family, they avoid you. They will tell you verbally, stop talking. We don't want to listen about death. Your own family will tell you, your children will tell you that. You travel in the car, you talk about death, nobody wants to listen. In your own home, you talk about death, nobody wants to listen. The companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, this was the number one topic when they sit down and discuss among themselves. How much are we preparing for that time when the angel of death will come and take our life? This used to be the normal talk. Something that we are avoiding, something that we don't want to address, is talking about life after death, or our own mouth. Very difficult. We don't want to hear about it. Let's talk about dunya. And if you think about your discussion from morning till night, with all the people you have met during one day, you will tell me if I'm wrong, that 99% of the time we talk about dunya. Analyze it from tomorrow morning. All the people you have reached from Fajr to Isha, what do you talk about? Dunya. It's all about dunya. So Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu says, Hubb dunya. That quality we don't have. Where we are distancing ourselves from the dunya. The more we advance in age, the more we attach to the world. And it is very unfortunate that many people die who live a very good life and a pious life, but we are unable to recite the kalima la ilallah before we die. Because with the advancement of age, we are still attached to the worldly life. We're not ready to give it up. Where we think about our akhirah. And the second is, we dislike to die. We don't want to die. Nobody is prepared to die. Even if you ask an old man, you don't want to die. It's a very hard topic to discuss. Young people, yes, I understand. They're not interested to die. They don't want to hear about death. Because a young man feels he's maybe 18, 19, 20. He has a long life to live. So he's not pondering upon death. He's thinking about future, life in this world. Many of us, we pass through that phase. But as you get older and your age catch up with you, and you reach the end of your rope, the end of your life, and you look back in your life, and you realize there's no turning back in your life. You're now in your 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s. What do you have to show Allah that you have lived a life in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What do we have to show Allah? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah, I will recognize my ummah. I recognize my ummah. Bayn al-ummah. Between the nations, I will recognize my ummah. One companion said, Ya Rasulullah, how would you recognize your ummah? How would you recognize your people? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam gave him three answers. One is that I will see my ummah with their record in their right hands. That's number one. My ummah, only my ummah, they will have the records in their right hand. Second is that I will recognize the marks on the faces. They will have a glow. They'll be new. And that was because of making sajda to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Min athari sujud. From their faces, they will have marks of sajda. And the last one, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, in front of my ummah, there will be nur. There will be nur, light. The sharh given in this last part of the hadith is that this light will be given to the people who used to always be close to the sunnah in this life. Every opportunity he has in this life, he attached himself to the sunnah. And Allah, because of his dedication and his attachment to the sunnah in this life, Allah will give him a nur in front of him, so that he will walk. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, I will recognize my ummah by these three signs. Do we have this? Do we aiming for this quality? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us all these inshaAllah, so that we be able to be recognized by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. My dear brothers and sisters, you know, a few months ago, my brother passed away back home. Very young man, he was only 52 years of age. No sickness. Went to sleep, prayed Salatul Isha, went to the masjid, eat his dinner, went to bed and died, never woke up. The last word he told his wife is that I'm tired, that if I don't wake up, make sure you wake me up to go to the masjid for Salatul Fajr. That was the last word. She said that around 4 o'clock in the morning, he usually wake up for Salatul Tahajjud. And at that certain time, she heard him, voices came out from his mouth. She could not recognize the voice. The point is, none of us is prepared for death. But eventually, whether we are prepared or not, we will have to go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. One day we will have to leave our children and our wife. One day we will have to leave. And all the effort we have made in this life to give our family what is good in this life, a good living, good house, good solid education, up to college, up to university. So that's very good. But when you leave this world and gone, you and I will be questioned by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as I said, we don't know when we are leaving. We can leave tonight, go to bed and never wake up. Did we raise our children in such a way that they will be pleasing or they will be happy to be a Muslim? And especially in the community we live in, where people are afraid to be Muslim, where people are afraid to wear hijab. Our identity has become something that we want to hide. We are starting to fear men more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this will be our number one downfall. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that a man who fears human being in this life, that on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah will put such a fear in his heart that he will not be able to bear that. But a man who fears Allah in this life, when Allah will raise him and he will see what is happening on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah will put no fear in his heart. Because in this life he fears only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this life, this man only fears Allah, no human being. I am not saying to be argumentative. I am not saying to go and say things we are not supposed to say. But what I'm saying, at no time in our heart, we should have fear for any human being. Because if we were to die in that state, it would be very difficult to recite La ilaha illallah before we die. To have fear for human being in this heart. Unlike companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who had only the fear for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why they were able to recite La ilaha illallah before they died. Today we are so complacent in our iman that we are willing to give up this iman for anything. If you're traveling from countries, from Muslim countries, coming to this country, and I'm sure many of us, we have that experience, you will find there are many sisters with hijab on the plane. And when you land at JFK or Miami, you don't see no more hijab. It's gone. We witness those things. Out of fear for a human being, we are willing to give up Islam in a jiffy. Wallahi, brothers and sisters, we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do not take our life in that moment, where you die in that state where you fear human being beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We will never be able to recite the kalima La ilaha illallah if we are straying away, if we are going away from the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from the tariq of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Those of us who visit sick people when they're dying, we can actually count the fingers how many people are able to recite, even though you recite after them, even though you give them a push. Say La ilaha illallah. In my life, it's probably just 4 or 5 people. And I've seen many people at the time of dying. And they are not able to say it. They are not able to say it. That is because we are going away. We are going away from the Sunnah. We are going away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do not blame the time we live in. Do not blame the circumstance we live in. Because when you go down in your qabr, and when Allah raises you, and we stand in front of Allah, the excuse we give in this world not to practice Islam, not to be obedient to Allah, not to follow the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, those excuses will not be accepted in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need to train our children in such a way that no matter what hardship or difficulty they are going through in life, they must stick to Quran and Sunnah. And any father or any mother who impart knowledge on your children to give up this deen, or stop praying when you're traveling, or to take off your hijab when you're flying, and you die and face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make sure your excuse will be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Make sure that the excuse you have, and you die and you leave your children in that state, not strong in deen, ready to give up deen every moment, then wallahi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take every one of us to task. There will be no deen left in this land. No Islam will left in this land. If we start training our children to give up Islam because we'll be persecuted, or because we'll be going through hardship, you know what? We take the easy way. And when you take the easy way, you will have no problem. Wallahi, you will not have a problem in this world. But eventually, you will have to reach Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Eventually, you will have to leave America and go in our qabr. What will happen to us? We will not live forever. Allah is waiting for us on the other side. What answer will we give to Allah if we are ready to give up Islam? So my dear brothers and sisters, it's very important that we become more strong in times of hardship and difficulties. Because hardship and difficulties and calamities and trials are meant for us to become strong and become closer to Allah and to become more God-fearing rather than more weak and people who go away from deen. There are people who have given up this deen at a very cheap cost. Yes, there are people who have given up this deen for a cheap cost. Imam Ghazali, and I'm close to this, rahimahullah, says that a man who becomes murtad, who give up Islam and become a Christian or a non-Muslim, the only reason he's given is because after Allah has selected you and chosen you out of billions of people and give you Iman, iman in your heart, to say La ilaha illallah, to become a believer. Because wallahi, no one will allow to enter Jannah. No one cannot enter Jannah except a believer. And Allah has chosen you and give you iman in your heart and make you Muslim. But you were ungrateful to Allah for that ni'mah of making you a Muslim and giving you iman. And I said, because of your ungratefulness, Allah removed that iman from your heart. The same Allah who will give you iman in your heart, Allah can remove it because of your ungratefulness. So the murtad are the people who are ungrateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah remove iman from their hearts. May Allah protect us, inshaAllah. May Allah protect our children, inshaAllah. May Allah protect our spouses, inshaAllah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا مولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله يذكركم ولا ذكر الله أكبر. أقم الصلاة.